Today's review, Generation X from 1996, the spin-off of the X-Men film franchise. Now this movie is very interesting because it goes against my rules of my Marvel collection. My rules for my collection are live-action theatrical films, so no animated movies, no direct-to-video movies, and no TV movies. However, when I completed my collection, I decided to grant some exceptions. Under these rules, you must not have had any other movies made before you or after you, no TV series made about you, or multiple TV movies made about you. And Generation X fit that bill. There's never been a Generation X movie, and the TV series that was planned never happened. So this made it into my collection. Now this came out in 1996 on Fox Television. It predates X-Men 2000. So that's where it goes in the timeline, before X-Men 2000. Now before Fox's big screen adaptation of the X-Men, they kind of wanted to do a televised approach. So first they did Generation X, and they wanted Generation X to lead into a Generation X TV series. However, they abandoned that idea. And they decided to rework this movie into a lead-in for other potential X-Men television films. But then they abandoned that idea altogether, and this movie just got forgotten about. Some people on YouTube have reviewed it. This movie is referenced at Comic-Con conventions featuring the X-Men, but is largely forgotten about. So here I am bringing Generation X back in action. So my thoughts on this movie. I think it's an interesting movie. I like it. The plot takes place during the Mutant Registration Acts. So if a mutant is not registered, they are illegal. And they will be detained without due process. Because the Mutant Registration Act, just like our terrorism laws today, they fall outside of due process. So if you are charged with being a mutant, your court proceedings are going to be different from a regular human. So the feds, politics, it's all over this movie, just like the other X-Men films. The movie, you open up, you have a mutant being experimented on by Russell Tresh, who is a nerdy scientist who despises mutants but somewhat admires them. He used to work with Emma Frost. But once Emma Frost saw that he was going crazy and doing things he wasn't supposed to do, she had him fired from his institution. And he did not like that. So 5 years passes. We see a new class of mutants being recruited into the X Mansion, Xavier's School of Gifted Youngsters. We see Angelo Espinosa, Jubilee. We see Monet, Mondo, Arlie. And Kurt. They are going to the X Mansion, Xavier's School of Gifted Youngsters, to learn how to control their powers. Now the X-Men are not in this movie. So there's no reference of Magneto, or Wolverine, or Cyclops, or Rogue, or Storm. There might be a slight reference to Charles Xavier in this movie, but I'm not sure, but he's not in this movie either. They're out about collecting bigger mutants than what the Generation X people are doing. The two people in charge of the school are Banshee and Emma Frost. Now they were in X-Men First Class. Emma Frost was also in X-Men Origins Wolverine. So, reconstructing the X-Men timeline here, I think after the events of X-Men Origins Wolverine, Emma Frost went to the X-Mansion and took over instruction duties while Xavier was out traveling the world looking for Storm and Wolverine. and all that type of stuff. So she and Banshee are in charge. And they're trying to teach these kids how to control their powers. Problem is, these kids are teens. They're at puberty. They don't like each other, and they're kind of jealous at one another. There's a lot of envy and animosity. So one day the kids, they decide to leave the school. They go into town. And they do get in trouble with the town kids, and their mutant identities become exposed. So the police come. They arrest them. Emma Frost comes to the precinct and is able to use her mind powers to break him out of jail. But not only are the feds on their case, not only are the town people starting to become aware of their existence, so is Russell Trash. Russell Trash, like I said, he's a scientist. He works for Hyper Creative Technologies. And he has built a dream machine called Cerebro, which is a copy of what Emma Frost has at Xavier's school. And this dream machine, it allows anybody to transfer their consciousness into the dream world. They can visit other people's dreams and then also enter reality as well. It combines our reality and the dream world. So that's what this machine does, and it's very dangerous. Alright? So while one of the kids, he's monitoring the security system, he happens to stumble upon this dream device. He uses it, and he meets Russell Trash. At first, he kind of trusts Russell Trash, but he starts knowing that Russell Trash is kind of crazy, and Trash is kind of using him. So what Trash does, he threatens Angelo's sister. Angelo's the one that uses the device. What he wants Angelo to do is to bring the headset, the dream machine, to the insane hospital and reconnect them to this device. Right, the feds, they've been all over Russell Trash. The board of directors at Hyper Creative, they fired him. So they called the police. They went to his house and disconnected him from the machine. Now he's brain dead. So his mind is stuck in this dream world. So Espinosa, Angelo Espinosa, he goes to the insane asylum. He breaks him out, reconnects him. However, Russell Trash then abducts him, takes him to his laboratory, and he started to do experiments on him. Angelo, he astral projects himself to the X Mansion and alerts Jubilee of what's going on. And so Jubilee, he alerts Emma Frost that Russell Trash is back and he wants revenge. So now these younglings, they have to come together as Generation X. They have to take down Russell Trash and hope that the government doesn't find out what they're doing either. Generation X, thoughts on the movie? I gave you the plot. My thoughts on it, I like it. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. 1, I like the plot. It's mysterious. You don't really know what's going to happen. Russell Trash, he's psychotic. He's unpredictable. Matt Frewer does a good job at portraying him. I like these type of bad guys. The ones that are crazy, psychotic, outgoing. The ones that you don't know what they're really going to do. So the plot of this movie is very mysterious. It's suspenseful. Alright, you can tell that these kids are going to be at peril in this film. Something bad's going to happen. Just don't know when. There's also a war on 3 fronts. These kids have to defend themselves from Russell Trash, the government, and the town folks. Also like about this movie is the interactions with the Generation X team members. They're figuring out who each other are, trying to figure out what their powers are. They're messing with each other. There's even a triangle rivalry between Kurt, Angelo, and Mondo. So they're kind of messing with each other. And I thought that was pretty funny. There's a lot of lightheartedness and humor, which is needed. Because there's also a dark tone also surrounding this movie. there are some dark parts of the film, especially when you get towards the climax. So I like the comedy, I like the lightheartedness that brings kind of a warm quality to this movie. So I like the characters, I like the plot, I like Russell Trash. I thought that stuff was interesting. Generation X, I like it. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. That is my review on Generation X.